Hi everyone, thank you so much for coming back to my channel. Welcome. Today we're going to dive into something truly impactful. It's my second part of my series of the wounded themes of consciousness. And today we're diving into the wound of violation. This wound can shape our entire perception of ourself, our trust, and our safety in the world. It influences our relationships, behaviors, and ultimately the ability to feel truly at peace, which is really important for our mental well-being, our sense of self, our self-enlightenment. So what is this? How does it manifest in our lives? And most importantly, how do we heal from this wound? Stay with me as we break this down. So the first question you might have is, what is the wound of violation? Okay, so the wound of violation really stems from our experiences where our boundaries of our emotional, physical, psychological boundaries were not really respected in a relationship, or maybe we don't feel like they can be respected because we don't have that true sense of trust in ourselves. It may come from childhood experiences you may have learned, some toxic behaviors and relationships, or instances where we felt powerless and unseen, basically. It's just kind of another limiting belief that we hold for ourselves, that we have an unsubconscious bias usually from experiences that were really impactful. And were not usually processed in a healthy manner, and so we hold on to these wounds. So this wound really creates an imprint that influences our sense of safety and ability to trust ourselves, and mostly our behaviors in relationships. At its core, the wound of violation really leaves us feeling like our personal autonomy or sovereignty has been disregarded or can't ever be respected. It teaches us to either overcompensate by seeking control or withdrawal by becoming hypervigilant or very distrusting and retracting from relationships or connections, if that makes sense. And it's really hard because your brain is a social organ, but if you don't know how to handle it, you don't know what's going on, it can leave you just being in a state and a cycle of just unhappiness. And that can lead to a lot of really bad mental diseases for ourselves. And so I don't want that for my viewers, and I don't want that for me. So we are uncovering what the wound of violation is so that we don't have to keep being trapped in that cycle. So then how does the wound of violation show up in our lives? Well, let me tell you. This wound can manifest in different ways depending on how we internalize the experiences that have brought into our reality that might not have been processed the best because maybe we didn't have the capability to do that. And so I'm seeking personally for myself the tools to be able to process and grow my self-esteem right now. And so if you're looking for that, man, that's a really good decision to make for yourself, by growing towards and by kind of dragging in inner happiness into yourself. I think that's a better way to put it, I guess. I don't really know, but I'm happy that we're all here together. So I wrote down if you're wondering if you're getting triggered by this wound, I wrote down some instances that can kind of identify that, hey, my thoughts or my behaviors are coming because I'm triggered and I need to work on this. So some common signs look like fear of being taken advantage of, a deep-rooted feeling that others might exploit you or manipulate you if you get close to them, hypervigilance, always being on guard, expecting harm or disrespect in relationships, struggles with boundaries. Either you have extremely rigid boundaries that people can't really get through or around, or it's hard to navigate them usually, or you have no boundaries at all and you've never been taught how to make boundaries and you don't have the self-respect or the self-esteem to lie those boundaries down for your own protection. Feeling unseen or unheard, a sense that your need, voice, or body does not matter to anybody. Yeah, self-esteem issues. Difficulty trusting others, fear that opening up will lead to more betrayal, hurt, and pain. So those are some common signs that can kind of identify that you have some wounds that you need to work on, and it's usually those come from the wound of violation, which is a very common wound in my opinion, because I don't believe that a ton of people, well, not every single person knows boundaries or what to do in relationships. So honestly, I think uncovering wounds is just creating a healthy balance between for relationships, honestly. And then you might be wondering, how does this wound of violation affect our relationships? So this wound can make relationships feel like a battlefield, right? Because you don't know how to approach people in certain circumstances. You don't know what to do. You don't have the tools to go around or go through, or honestly, you don't know how to proceed. So it can really feel like it's really hard. You might struggle to trust, overreact, or to minor infractions, or unconsciously attract people who reinforce that wound of violation by maybe they're disregarding your boundaries or they're treating you a certain way, just to kind of influence or trigger you. But it's because what you're struggling with, it's a law of attraction. What you could think about, you attract. And I've noticed that when I have like an avoidant personality or attachment style, I really attract anxious people in my life, who might tend to trigger some things in me because I don't know how to work on my own stuff or acknowledge them mostly. Where was I? So, for example, if you experience emotional violation, you might either avoid deep connections or prevent being hurt again and fall into people pleasing to ensure that people never abandon you. So, you kind of fall into some unhealthy behavioral patterns. So, you don't want that hurt to happen again, but actually, you're just enforcing your anxiety and your avoidant tendencies. So let's see. If you faced physical or energetic violation, intimacy might feel really unsafe or overwhelming. So it can feel like relationships are really hard to navigate, which I've been saying. Okay, and then we have the question of like, what do we need to heal? So healing from this wound of violation requires rebuilding a sense of true self-trust and personal empowerment. So that self-esteem, like I was talking to you about. Here's what we really truly need. Okay. Self-recognition, acknowledging that your boundaries and experiences are valid. First of all, learning how to create boundaries is a really, really good tool for you. So if you don't know how, or you don't know what boundaries look like, girl, go look on Pinterest, go on YouTube, go on Instagram, go talk to a medical therapist, a behavioral health therapist, and ask. And if there's anybody in your life who you feel like is a role model for those things, then really I think building a better relationship with them would be a smart idea. And then reclaiming that sense of safety in your life is a really important thing. For me, it started with journaling. That was my sense of safety in my world, where I could control it. I could make sure that I always had it provided for myself and my inner self and my inner child. And that gave me a sense of that self-trust. Finding ways to feel safe in your body and in your relationships. And I think boundaries is a really good thing to learn so that you feel safe. And like, if this is crossed, then these are the consequences, and it's not because of you, but it's because of my safety. And so we've talked about that before. Emotional processing is a really hard thing for, I think, people to understand if you're not in the if you don't have the capability to emotionally process, or like your body starts freaking out because you can't do it. That's a really hard thing to do, and you can't do that alone. Usually I I found that it was really hard to emotionally process with people in the room because I tend to avoid my feelings with others because I don't really find that sense of safety in them. But lately I have been really good about just having people there and saying like, I'm not going to think or talk about anything else except what I'm feeling. And it's kind of like using them as like a dartboard of just like throwing your emotions at them. And I never felt like that was an okay thing to do because I felt like I was taking up people's time. But if you can kind of say, like, hey, this is what I need right now, and I just want you to be, I just want to know that you're capable of being my sounding board right now. And then my friends would be really nice about that and be like, yeah, I'm always here to listen. So they've kind of helped me with that self trust and that trust in others to listen to me. Also, I learned it through them and then I brought it to my therapist. And usually I felt like it was the other way around of like, you should talk to your therapist first and then go to your friends. But for me, it just worked out that way. And I was very conscious of like, hey, you guys already make me feel safe in certain ways. So I want to expand this in other parts of our relationship that is healthy for me. And they were so nice about that. And then I feel like I'm able to do that in other aspect or other relationships. So yes, that's how it worked out for me. Yeah, so allowing yourself to grieve, express anger, and release suppressed emotions. I also started that in journaling because I figured out I had to create a safe space. And in journaling, I didn't want to judge myself, like no judgment, no saying this is a good or bad feeling. It was just how I was feeling. These are my thoughts. So I was writing them down as much as I possibly could to practice that. And then I started bringing it into my relationships. And then I saw, like, oh, this is actually a safe thing to do and it's okay. And I asked for no judgment. And they actually gave that to me. That's pretty cool. I'm talking really fast because I had like an energy drink before this. So sorry. Strengthening boundaries. That's the other one that we're going to talk about. Learning to set and enforce limits that honor your well being. It's not about anybody else. Developing self trust, rebuilding confidence in your own judgment and instincts. And that's a really hard one that I had to learn because I always question, am I doing the right thing? Am I doing this? Am I doing that? I don't know why I questioned it so much or where I learned that from, but I think it was a protection mechanism of like trying to be like, am I going to be happy if I do this? And most of those feelings that I was having, I was actually trying to judge them based on, are they good or are they bad? And then I learned that no matter what, if I don't judge myself, I'll be happy because I can just let myself be me. And then that allows me to be my most authentic self. And then that leads to true happiness. And you can get that in a moment. Once you understand that and you click with that, you can find that true happiness. Just be like, it's like the world's your oyster kind of, but not at the same time because it's like the world doesn't feel as grand in my opinion. Okay, so our last section is going to be why healing this wound of violation would benefit everybody in the whole world, right? So it starts with you, and then I think once you start doing it, you actually unsubconsciously start helping the others around you do it because you have acknowledged it and you're aware of it, and you can heal your relationships and your point of view, and then that just entails, it's kind of like a domino effect. So that's why it's inspiring for me to talk about this. So when we heal the wound of violation, we step into a place of autonomy and self-peace, right? So you are you and you have your self-peace, and I'm me and I have my self-peace. So we're both healed, yada yada. We learn to trust ourselves emotionally and establish healthy boundaries, cultivate relationships, and respect our own worth. And I think that's what real happiness looks like. It doesn't look like seeking. It's like we have that all inside of us and we have this knowledge, and it's so powerful. It's so just wonderful. So by healing, we not only free ourselves, right? But we also create a ripple effect that affects others to step into their own inner peace, breaking cycles and disempowering the suffering that we create to keep creating life, right? So I think That's beautiful. I think instead of saying I need contrast and to suffer to create this life, I'm going to be happy and I'm going to empower people and I'm going to empower myself and I'm going to choose happiness no matter what happens. And that's going to create my life. And then you just create a beautiful life after that. And that's what I'm really hoping for myself and every single person that is watching my channel. Okay. So, I want to ask, what is one thing that you're taking away from this video today? Please let me know down in the comments. And if any of this resonated with you, and if this resonates with you and you like it, please subscribe and share it with somebody who might really need to hear any of this. Well, I don't know if you're gonna do that because it's just a girl talking, but I really enjoy becoming friends with people and connecting with them based on our own emotional journeys. You know, I think that we're meant to congregate and create knowledge with each other and just build those relationships. And healing is a journey, and we're all in this together. And thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.
Did you see anything? Squirrel.
Oh my gosh. That was